Chapter 11 Potion. After a few moments in my room, I heard the sound of carriages arriving. Leaving and going towards the carriage, I saw my father greeting an old man. Thank you for coming, Maester Kenner. I will ask you to investigate the death of Maester Wales and send a raven to the citadel notifying of the death and the sending of another maester to take his place. Spoke my father. No problem, Lord Stark. As soon as I am finished, I will come to you and tell you of my findings. Said the maester of the Serwyn. Guard, take Maester to Whaley's body, my father said. Yes, sir. Please accompany me, Maester. Spoke the guard. After they left, I went towards my father. Father, do you have time to talk now? I asked. Now I do. Let's go to my office, said my father, going towards the manor house. Following my father, we soon arrived at the manor. Entering, my father sat in the chair behind the desk, and I sat in the front chair. So Arthur, what do you need? He asked. If possible, these items here, I told him, handing him the paper I had written hours ago. Taking the paper from my hands and reading the contents, my father arched his eyebrows. More items. Do you know how much I spent on that room of yours? All that equipment was pretty expensive. My father asked. I know, I will pay you back double for everything you spent on me, I promise. I said. I am your father, you don't have to pay me anything, I will ask you to buy those items, but it will take a few days. No problem. Dinner time arrived. Heading towards the hall, my father and brothers were already gathered. Although I was the youngest, with my height and mentality I stood out before my older brothers, minus Brandon and Ned, at least for now, so Benjen and Lyanna sometimes saw me as an older brother. As much as I am a bastard, my father and brothers never treated me hostilely, even the servants of the house treated me as if I were a legitimate son. That's why I made a promise before the weirwood of the sacred forest, that those who harm my family will pay the price of death. When I finished eating, Maester came towards my father and said. My lord, I have found the cause of death. Maester said. And what is it? Maester Wales, he choked eating an apple. I found a piece stuck in his throat, the windows were all locked from the inside, and the door key was still in Maester's pockets. I sent a letter to the citadel, a new Maester will be sent here, it will arrive in a few days. The Maester spoke up. I understand, thank you for your services, give thanks for Lord Serwyn for me. My father said. Of course, my lord. A few days later my father handed me the items I requested, so I went straight to the study room, to do what I had in mind. My study room was in a basement, it smelled of herbs and some chemicals, it was lit by scattered candles, on one of the walls a bookcase with some books I took from the library, and others that I wrote using Japanese so that no one can translate. In them I consisted of all my future plans, and methods of creation. In the center was a long table, scrolls and some books scattered about. And some tools, several tubes containing different kinds of substances, a distiller, a stove with a blower, scales, and crucibles. I just needed a catalyst to finish, and I managed to find it, thank the gods. In my time in the Elysian fields I learned to make some potions involving plants and some other kinds of materials. Grinding some herbs and throwing them into the furnace, I took the jar containing the tree sap. Mixing and controlling the fire until the potion was ready, a few minutes later I finished it, taking a jar I put all the contents inside. Looking at the red substance inside the vial, I couldn't contain my smile. Taking this once a week for 3 years will help my body by strengthening my immune system, creating resistance to some poisons, and mainly, with the tree sap, it will provide magic to my Dantian. 3 years later. And so 3 years passed. I was at my 6 years old, I was 4 feet 7 inches tall, and started to show some muscles. In these 3 years I reflected on a few things. To keep my family safe, I would have to be around, so I abandoned the idea of running away or going to another lord. The time I spent in this world I realized that, here anyone can easily stab you in the back. Fortunately the north is not common to betrayals. Today my fighting practice will begin. I will show that I know how to fight. I want them to know that I know how to defend myself. I went to the training yard and there was the master at arms of Winterfell. Hold this sword, the master said, throwing a wooden sword to me. Show me what you know, he spoke. Holding the sword in my hands I stood in attack position, looking into the master's eyes. The boy has the spirit of a warrior, thought the master. Arthur holding a sword looked like a general who killed the whole enemy legion with his blade. His posture and his look showed a person who knew what he was doing, as if war and death were part of him. Letting out his breath Arthur set out to attack, making a horizontal cut, from right to left towards the master's abdomen. The master parried the attack easily, but the boy didn't stop, making horizontal and vertical cuts, and from time to time thrusts. Stop, shouted the master. Arthur stopped attacking. His breathing was a little short, but less than the master's. Where did you learn to fight, boy? Questioned the master. By myself. Since I was 3 years old I practice. Spoke Arthur. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow we will start training for good. Spoke the master. Understood. After taking a shower I went towards my father's manor. Dad, it's me, I spoke after knocking on the door. Come in. What is it, son? I want to make you a request, I spoke. What is it? I want to raise some loyal people. I would like you to give me permission to adopt some orphans who are close in age to mine. I spoke. How many people are we talking about? My father asked. I think 5 is enough for now. I appreciate your idea. Loyal people are always welcome, but it will be 5 more mouths to feed, and they will not bring any profit for now. We have many expenses as the protector of the north. I need to fix some broken parts of Winterfell, and I will not have money to waste at the moment. Spoke my father. Here, I spoke, throwing some papers on my father's desk. And this is? Asked. The method of creating drinks that I invented, vodka and whiskey, 2 drinks that will innovate the market. I spoke. My father was dumbfounded at what was in front of him. And this too, I threw other papers on his desk. This is an automatic loom, capable of producing at a higher speed than the current ones, and one person can operate several machines. I spoke. And in advance I already congratulate you, father, for being lord of the future richest house in Westeros. 27 comments 0 vote. Chapter 12 The Letters. After a few seconds of looking at me, my father sighed deeply. Arthur, sit down, ordered my father. Sitting in a chair in front of him, I waited for what he was going to say. Since you were a child you have always surpassed others your age in both intellect and physique. The Master at Arms came to talk about your prowess today, and amazing as it is, I wasn't surprised. I stopped being surprised by you a long time ago. Now you come and throw this bomb at me, something that could send the entire 7 kingdoms into a goddamn frenzy. I don't know if you're hiding something from me, or even if the old gods gave you any blessings, and really, I don't care. I just want you and your brothers to be happy, but that's not what I want to tell you, that's about it. Opening the desk drawer, my father pulled out some letters from inside. We found this with Maestre's body. Since I no longer have an advisor, I want you to help me with these letters, read them and give me your opinion. My father said. Taking the letters from his hand, I started to read. Although I had read them once, my father didn't know that. After a few minutes of reading I handed the letters back to him. Alright, let's go by parts. I think all the letters are coming from the Citadel. One of them says to get rid of the child as soon as possible, and these others dictate what the Maester must do. One of them says he must make sure if the wedding between Brandon and Catelyn Tully and especially Robert and Lyanna happen, and the final question, what is Lyanna's favorite type of flower? And about these arranged marriages, do you know anything? I asked. During the War of the Ninnepenny Kings, I got very close to Hoster Tully, Jon Arryn, Steffon Baratheon and Tywin Lannister. That's when the idea of Jon Arryn adopting Ned and Robert Baratheon came up. We talked about marrying Brandon to Catelyn Tully and Lysa Tully to Jaime Lannister and Lyanna to Robert Baratheon, thus unifying all the great houses. Maester Wills was the main person who made me accept the idea of marriage, but I always postponed the answer, explained my father. Now it makes sense why Ned was adopted by a southern house, and this child they are referring to in the letter I believe is me for the simple fact that I am the only one different from his children. I have Valyrian traits, Valyrians who are known for magic of blood, and everyone knows the Maesters, aversion to magic. Now the reason for these marriage unions they so desperately want, I'm still not sure, maybe. Maybe what, son? My father IFT. What if, with the alliance of these houses, they create a force strong enough to end the reign of the Targaryens, putting an end to their bloodline of dragons, and if perhaps, the tragedy of Summerhall, even the dance of dragons are orchestrated by the Maesters. There is one in every house in Westeros, advising their lords in their decisions. They are there in their weakest moments, they are at birth and at death, they are the doctors of their homes, and perhaps most importantly, they send and receive letters from their masters. I said. After my speech, my father's face completely closed, anger overflowing from his eyes. After all, to hear that a man you trusted, who gave advice, is a traitor and worse, had his son's murder in mind, makes anyone angry. What about Lyanna's flowers? That's what's bothering me. I can't imagine what that information is useful for at the moment. And what do you think we should do with this information? Information is power, and our enemies don't know we have it. Leave it at that. A new maester will come, and if it's a rat, we'll use it to our advantage. I said. Thank you, my son, for your advice. I will authorize your request for subordinates. Be aware that you will be responsible for their actions, food and lodging, said my father. Thanks for the trust, my father. I promise I will not disappoint you. I only ask for 2 things. I will need a part of the profit, only until I have an external income and complete freedom in the training and decisions of my subordinates. They will not accept orders from nobody but me, I say. Okay, I'll ask you to round up some orphans your age, said my father after some thought. Thanks, Dad. By the way, Arthur, I've never talked to you about your life goals, and I think this is the perfect time to have this conversation. I won't live long. The loss of Lara and her mother has affected me. I only live to give to you and your brother's security and stability. By the time your brother is mature enough to become the new protector of the North, I intend to take the Black. Dad, let me finish, son. I made a promise to your mother, one that I will keep. I promised that I would legitimize you when you reached your man age, but keep in mind, that even if I legitimize you, unless your brothers abdicate or die, you cannot inherit Winterfell, so answer this, old man, what is your dream, what do you yearn for? My father spoke with a sad, tired expression on his face. I confess I didn't expect this question. I planned to keep my goals to myself, but looking at my father like this, I think it's better that he knows. Maybe it takes some of the burden on him, and maybe I can give him some hope. Thinking about the answer, I rose from my chair, looked into my father's eyes, and spoke with the deepest conviction I could muster. What I'm looking for, father, is quite simple. In fact, I want to keep all of you in the North safe. I want to be the shield that will defend us from our enemies and the executioner that will execute them. I want to be like Theon Stark, the hungry wolf, who defended their lands from the Andals, that all those who humiliated us all these years, who denied us help in this cursed winter, when children, men, women and the elderly died of hunger and cold, I want everyone to know, that for every action there is always a reaction, that when they hear the wolves howling they will know that winter has come for them. I want them to engrave in their minds, that the North remembers. When I finish talking, my dad gets up from his chair and walks slowly towards me. And if it depends on me, it will be like this, my son, said my father, hugging me. 33 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 13, Runes. Finishing the conversation with my father, I went to my room to plan the training of my subordinates. I intend to do a general training, and after some time a specific training for each one. I have to do something to keep their loyalty unbreakable, and I think I already know how, but I'll have to pick up a few things. After making an outline of the training I intended to do, I made a list of some items I needed, put the list in my pocket, and headed toward the sacred grove. I knelt before the weirwood and asked for more sap. After a few seconds the tree's eyes began to ooze out the blood-red colored viscous liquid. After getting all the sap from the tree I went to my father to hand him the list of items I needed. A few days passed. My father handed me the items I needed, some herbs and a piece of bamboo. While I was preparing the items in my study room, I hear a knock on the door. Who is it? I asked. Sir, the orphans have arrived. They are in the main courtyard. The voice spoke. I'm coming, I said as I grabbed a bag with some items in it. After getting ready, I went to the central courtyard. I saw some children gathered, all of them seeming to be the same age as me. Arriving in front of them I looked at each one. There were 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls. Hello, my name is Arthur Snow, bastard son of Lord Rickard Stark. I spoke, drawing the children's attention to me as I hung the bag on a nail. A few days ago I asked my father to find some strong and intelligent children, but I guess he was wrong. I only see weak and stupid in front of me, I said with a snobbish smile on my face. Who are you calling weak and stupid, you bastard? Shouted one of the boys. Is there anyone else in front of me? Of course it was you. Son of a bitch, I'm going to hit you, yelled the boy, who ran towards me with his fists raised as if he was going to punch me. When the boy threw the punch, I grabbed his fist, twisted it, and threw it to the ground. Come back, even if you all get together you won't be able to pull me over, I said. What? You can't take a simple offense? Then I wasn't wrong when I said you were weak. What? You called us together to make fun of us? Just because you are a nobleman? Another boy spoke up. Wrong. I called you here to offer you a purpose, a meaning in this pathetic life of yours. What is your future? I imagine it's nothing great. You'll probably die in some gutter while worms eat your bodies. You are right, I am a bastard. As much as I am the son of a lord, I am in a lower position than a Pebbaloo, but I will change that. I have defined my purpose as great, not only as a bastard of a lord, and that is why I asked for you, other children in the same position as me, children who hope to have a future, where no one looks at them with snobbish looks and pure disgust, but for that I need strong people, intelligent and the most important, loyalty. If you think you don't possess these qualities, let the guard know and he will take you back, but if you still want to be part of something bigger, stay, but I assure you, hell awaits. After a few seconds no children had left. Since no one came out I believe you all think you are capable, we shall see. I will only say one last time, you can leave now, and you will return from whence you came with some coins as a courtesy. I forgot to warn you, if you accept, you will have to give up your beliefs in gods other than the old gods. And again, no children came out, some showing reluctance after saying about giving up their ancient beliefs, but after a few seconds conviction appeared on their features. Well, I will tell you how it will work. Starting today you will go through training that will exhaust you every day, to the point that you will want to be dead. I have a philosophy, I believe in two types of pain, the one that hurts, and the one that changes, and you will go through both. It won't matter if you are a girl or a boy, you will all suffer equally. Now that you are aware, I want each of you to tell me just your name, and your age. After listening to my speech, none of them showed any desire to leave. You first, I said, pointing to the boy who wanted to punch me. I am Sigurd, I have 7 years old, said the boy. He had red hair, green eyes, a height above the standard for his age, and bulging muscles, some scars scattered on his arms and some on his face. He wore rags for clothing. Nodding my head to him, I pointed to the other boy. My name is Eldrick, I am 6 years old, spoke the boy. He had tangled brown hair, brown eyes, possessed a short stature and a thin body, so with all the children wore rags. You, I pointed to another. I'm Kevin, I'm 6 years old, said a boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. He had a very handsome appearance, and a normal height. Perseus, 7 years old, spoke a boy with black hair and dark eyes. He was a normal height for his age. My name is Roslyn, 5 years old, said a blonde girl with green eyes. She had normal height and proportions for someone her age. And lastly you. My name is Astrid, I'm 7 years old, said a little girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. With everyone introduced, follow me, I said, picking up the hanging bag, and heading towards the sacred grove. Arriving at the woods, I stood with my back to the weirwood tree. From now on, I want you to give up your ancient beliefs and kneel before the old gods. After my order, everyone knelt before the tree. You will receive marks on your bodies, runes, that will help in your training and in the future. It will hurt a little, but if you can't stand even that measly pain, you can forget about completing the training. Now, everyone show me your backs. Everyone raised their cloths and showed me their exposed backs. First, I will open your meridians, thereby unblocking the energy flow and increasing your bodily capabilities, cleansing the impurities present in your bodies and healing the damage present. After explaining, I took some needles that were in my bag, and went to Sigurd's back. This process will be painless, you will feel like relieving yourself. Where we were there is a latrine, you can go there, I said. After inserting 9 silver needles in specific points on Sigurd's back, I started to do an imposition with my hands. This is a technique that some people in the Elysian fields taught me. The Yellow Emperor taught me acupuncture and Jesus taught me Iad our Ripui, a laying on of hands technique that gathers the life energy of the universe and transfers it to another person. It is able to heal various types of diseases and other types of situations. Jesus used it to heal people in his time. Today it is called Reiki. Reiki is a healing system whose objective is to activate, channel, and apply the universal vital energy in any living being in order to balance its energy, which may be in imbalance. The universe is made up of energies that interact and intertwine with each other. We are all made up of energy and matter. This energy is vibrational, that is, it vibrates at a certain frequency. Positive emotions generate energy that vibrates at higher frequencies, while negative emotions generate energy that vibrates at lower frequencies. What I do is basically just balance these energies, and by combining it with Chinese acupuncture, I was able to get a faster and superior effect. After doing the process on everyone, I took from my bag a tool with a tiny tip, and a bottle with a dark liquid inside. Now I will mark on your bodies with runes. They have magic, it will make you regenerate faster, help in absorbing magic around you, increase your senses and your thinking speed. But keep in mind that the moment I do this, you will never be able to get rid of them. I will engrave a rune that will make you incapable of betraying me. The moment this possibility passes through your minds, it will activate and will notify me. You will not become monsters without consciousness. You will be able to have your free will normally. You will be able to question orders normally. Any objections? I asked. And how can we be sure? Astrid asked. Why would I lie, especially now that I've told you about them? I said. Right, I agree, spoke Sigurd. Me too, said Eldrick. Me too, spoke Roslyn, Perseus, Astrid and Kevin. Since you all agree, let's proceed. This will hurt. I took the tool with the tip, dipped it into the dark liquid, and began to tap the tip on Sigurd's back. After a few hours, I finished doing it. Okay, now everyone drink this, I said, placing a glass in front of each person. Ew, what is that? Roslyn asked. Weirwood sap, it will activate the runes on your back. After everyone drank the liquid, the runes tattooed on their backs began to glow. Everyone okay? Have you felt any changes? It's strange, everything seems much sharper now, my head hurts and my body is tingling. spoke Eldrick. Yes, your senses are being fortified, your mental capacity is being expanded, that's why the pain, and the tingling is magic passing through your body, in a few hours everything will normalize. Come on, now your training begins. 17 comments 0 vote. Chapter 14 Training. Year 277 AC. Some years have passed since our training began. At the beginning I had to participate in the training with the Master of Weapons Jarell, but after a few months, I managed to free myself, proving that I was already capable enough. Jarell was surprised at first, but soon accepted the fact. With their improved skills none of them presented much difficulty in learning, so after a few months, I started training each one in their strongest characteristics. It is as Sun Tzu says. The true method, when you have men under you, consists in using the avaricious and the foolish, the wise and the brave, and in giving each the proper responsibility. Sigurd was the typical Viking from my previous life. I taught him some melee styles, the Glima, a Scandinavian martial art, and the Sambo, a Soviet martial art. In weapons Sigurd preferred the use of a two-handed war axe. But with his improved strength he could use one hand. And a gladius attached to his waist. His fighting method consisted basically in a brutal style aimed at killing his enemy as fast as possible. Walking through the wolf forest I found an amanita mushroom that was used by the berserkers to have their uncontrollable fury. The berserkers in battlefield was a machine to grind. Who dared to stand in their way was killed instantly, without knowing how they took his life. Sigurd accepted fortunately the mushroom after knowing of its effects, thanks to his improved body will not present side effects besides fatigue. Sigurd let his red hair grow. He tied it up with braids. His height even with 10 years old was already 5 feet 11 inches. His appearance was menacing, and the scars on his face and arms didn't improve the situation. His greenish eyes resembled tobernite, a green stone that can lead you to death by radiation. Roslyn had a sharp mind, especially involving numbers. So I taught her about math and economics, some manipulative arts, acting, and how to keep control of her emotions. Roslyn was like a Calmia latifolia. Very beautiful flower, but extremely lethal. Her long blonde hair and beautiful green eyes is enchanting. She reminds me of the actress Nicola Peltz from my previous life. She had a preference for using hidden daggers. For unarmed combat I taught her Jeet Kune Do and Krav Maga. I confess that having the creator of a martial art teaching you personally is incredible. Bruce Lee in the Elysian Fields was almost unbeatable in hand-to-hand combat. I have assigned Roslyn to take care of the future savings I will have. I know that in his hands, money is something we will never have to worry about. Kevin, with his blonde hair and blue eyes, had become even more handsome. The bastard at first spent most of his time hitting on the women of Winterfell. Until I told him that I would make him a eunuch if he didn't follow the training correctly, after which he never gave me any more trouble. Kevin was extremely proficient in the use of long-distance weapons. I taught him the use of the bow and throwing knives, and how to camouflage himself in various types of situations. He practically became Chris Kyle with a bow and arrow. At close range he learned Krav Maga and Taekwondo. His white weapon was a short sword. Perseus followed the traditions of the knights. I believe that because he grew up in White Harbor and saw knights daily, he absorbed that for himself. I had in mind to create a new type of knights. The vast majority of the followers of the old gods denied becoming one. 4. That is a tradition of the Andalos. His main weapon is a two-handed sword and his secondary is a basilard sword. In hand-to-hand combat I taught him Bokator and Krav Maga. Astrid proved to be an exceptional warrior. She had great mastery in using a sword and shield. Her blonde hair was tied back with a braid. Her body became slender and muscular despite her age. She was identical to the actress Catherine Winnick. Of all the others she was the one who was most interested in fighting. She became lethal in an abnormal way. The only ones who beat her in combat are me and Sigurd. Although Sigurd is close, I believe that in a few years she would surpass him. I taught her several martial arts from Silat to Capoeira. And lastly Eldrick. After a few days together, I discovered he is a Cranogman. He lived in the swamps before his family was murdered by Frey men. In his training I found an innate ability. He could sneak, camouflage and be almost unnoticeable. With this, I trained him in all the knowledge I had about assassination and espionage. His ninjutsu and taijutsu were exceptional. I taught him acupuncture, and how to use it in combat. His weapons were a few blades hidden in his clothes. For everyone I taught botany, especially about poisonous plants and fruits, against espionage, and first aid. Everyone learned Japanese. I will use this language as a method of communication between us encrypted. After all, for a person to understand without a base, several kanji, hiragana and katakana is extremely difficult. Time for them to bleed, I thought. Stay here, I'm going to talk to my father, I said to them. Arriving at the door of my father's solar, I knocked. Talk asterisk talk asterisk talk asterisk talk. It's me, Dad, I said. Come in, Art. Entering the room, my father was sitting at his desk and in front of him, sitting in his chair was the new Maester of Winterfell, Maester Lewin. I have been investigating the new maester, but he has not shown any hint of malice and manipulation to us. Maybe not everyone is involved. Good morning, Father, Maester Lewin. Good morning, Art. Father, I come to tell you that I am leaving Winterfell for an indefinite time. It is time for my men and women to see death up close. I was afraid that this day would come, but you were right. It's no use knowing how to fight, but not having the courage to neutralize the threat. When do you intend to leave? Asked my father. Tomorrow morning. What do you have in mind? Hunting bandits all over the north. And father, I intend to put an end to banditry for good, if you know what I mean, I said. Right. I will warn the northern lords not to worry if some bandit corpses appear in their lands. Take this, it is the profit part of this moon. Said my father, handing me a heavy bag of coins. Thank you. Not at all, and by the way, have you told Lyanna you're leaving? Oh, shit, wish me luck, I said. Good luck, son, my father said with a smile. Goodbye, Maester Lewin. After leaving the manor house, I headed toward Lyanna's room, but after a few steps I bumped into her. Leah, I was looking for you. I was going to the courtyard after you and Astrid. She promised to teach me a new move, Lyanna said with a smile. Of course she was. Every day you two are getting closer. It seems you like her more than me, I said with a pout. You know what's not true. I really like you, and stop pouting, it doesn't suit you. Tisk. Everything looks good on me. I am the most beautiful of all the continents. You self-centered piece of shit, spoke Lyanna as she slapped my head. Spit it out. What did you want to talk to me about? Lyanna asked. Oh right, I came to inform you that me and the other 6 are leaving Winterfell for an undetermined amount of time. What? When? I'm going with you. Lyanna shouted at me. I'm going tomorrow morning, and no, you're not going. How can you leave me alone here? You know I hate this lady business. Without you here, they'll force me to do these stupid things. Lyanna, what have I taught you? I asked. When entering a society, leave behind your own ideals, values and put on the mask best suited to the group you are in. Wise and intelligent people learn early that they can display conventional behaviors and ideas without having to believe them. Lyanna replied, lowering her head. Correct. Come, give me a hug. After a long hug I let Lyanna go. Now go say goodbye to the others, I said. Right. By the way, where is Benjen? I asked. That idiot must be training with Master Jarrell, replied Lyanna. Thank you, Leah. I went towards the training yard and there I saw Benjen training with Master Jarrell. Master Jarrell, can you give me a minute with Benjen? I asked the man. Of course, my lord. What is it, Art? Asked Benjen. Tomorrow I'm leaving Winterfell, and I don't have a deadline to get back, I said. Oh, and where are you going? To hunt down some bandits, I said. Well, be careful, brother, Benjen said. Thanks, next time I see you, I want to see how strong you've gotten, so don't let me down, I said. I won't, brother. After saying goodbye to Benjen I went towards my men. Attention, I shouted. In a matter of seconds, everyone was in a sitting position in front of me. Tomorrow we will leave Winterfell, it's time for you to mature, including me. After all, no one knows that I have killed. Pack your things, and do what you have to do. Tomorrow at sunrise I want all of you here, in the sacred grove, I said. Yes, sir. Everyone said. Then go. Dismissed. One thing I put into their heads is that there are certain moments of fun and others of seriousness. I look for order, discipline and synchrony. It is as George Washington says. Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes large the small contingents, provides success for the weak, and esteems all. At sunrise, I found all 6 already present in the sacred grove. They were all kneeling toward the weirwood tree, probably praying. After everyone finished their prayers, I spoke. Are you ready? Yes, sir. They spoke. Then let's go. The horses are ready now. Going to the stable, I saw everyone already gathered there. My father, Lyanna, Benjen, Maester Lewin and old Nan. Art, we've come to say goodbye, said Lyanna. Of course you have. My dear sister is already missing me terribly, I said smiling. Shut up, bastard. Come, give me a hug, said Lyanna. Giving Lyanna a hug, I hugged Benjen and my father. See you guys, take care of yourselves, I said. Goodbye, Art, be careful, said my father. Be careful, my brother, said Benjen. We all got on our horses and headed for the exit of Winterfell. Shit, I hate goodbyes. Stopping the horse a little way from the castle, I spoke to everyone. This is where our legacy begins, keep this date in your minds, I spoke. Say something nice, Arthur, Rosalind said. Yeah, what kind of fucking bullshit speech is that? Ha 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 ha, said Sigurd. Why don't you quote those poems of yours, said Astrid. Right, a poem, let me think of one. Oh, right, I know a nice one. It's like that, out of the night that covers me. Black as the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be. For my unconquerable soul, in the fell clutch of circumstance. I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance. My head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears. Looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years. Finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate. How charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. 32 comments 0 vote. Chapter 15 Bandits. That's a good one, Kevin said. Of course I did, I'm the best, I said sarcastically. Come on, we have a long way to go, I said as I trotted along with the horse. After a few hours of distance we stopped at the edge of Wolfswood. What now, my lord, what are our next steps? Eldrick asked. Well, first we will go bandit hunting in the Wolfswood. Eldrick, leave the horse with Sigurd and go ahead. If you find anything, come and let us know. Shaking his head at me, Eldrick got off his horse and handed it to Sigurd. After that he walked towards the entrance of the woods, but after a few steps inside, his body disappeared out of nowhere, as if the shadows of the trees had swallowed him. I'll never get used to that, he's too sinister, spoke Kevin. They say that the Cranogmans are descendants of the children of the forest, maybe he inherited something from them, spoke Roslin. Indeed, Cranogmans have a great affinity with nature, it must be because of the blood of the forest children, but not all of them have these certain abilities, I said. Bizarre, if he has the blood of the children of the forest, Sigurd here has the blood of the giants, look at the size of this son of a bitch. Spoke Kevin. Please Kevin, look at the cussing, said Perseus. I forgot we have a knight among us, forgive me, Sir Perseus, ha 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 ha, spoke Kevin laughing. Idiots, shut up, spoke Astrid with a scowl. Shit, I think I'm going crazy. After a few hours of waiting, Eldrick comes out of the woods. Sir, further into the woods there is a camp. Perseus spoke. Bandits. Yes, about 10 men, all armed, had some people tied up, most were women and children, some scouts are scattered in the woods, explained Eldrick. Okay, Eldrick, get me one of those scouts here, I have questions to ask, and the rest get ready. I ordered. Yes, sir, replied everyone. Eldrick headed into the woods again. After a few minutes of waiting, Eldrick appeared with a knocked-out man. The man was about 5 feet 7 inches and had a very thin body, dirty clothes and appearance. Bring him here, and wake him up. After receiving my order, Eldrick pulled the sleeping man to my feet and slapped him in the face. Slapped? What? Who are you? Panicked man asked. No matter who we are, tell me, who are you and what are you doing in the woods? I asked. What the fuck is this? Children, do you know who the fuck I am? Oh, tell me sir, who are you? I asked with a smile, as I pulled a knife from the sheath attached to my leg. I belong to a brotherhood, we are outlaws, deserters from the Night's Watch, we kill and pillage, and if you don't let me go now I will gut you and fuck you with your corpse, and of everyone here, especially those two over there, there must be a delicious puss. Gulp. Before he finished his sentence, I passed the blade across his throat. Tisk, the fish dies by the mouth, and the man by the tongue. Come on, it's time for the hunt. I spoke. After tying up the horses, we headed for the entrance to the forest. Eldrick and Kevin, go ahead, take out all the scouts, then come back to regroup. Everyone, keep your senses sharp, don't rush, act cautiously and coolly, and most importantly don't hesitate. I spoke. After following into the woods, Eldrick and Kevin returned. All scouts are eliminated, Kevin spoke. Okay, stay back, cover, Eldrick, where is the camp? A few miles in that direction, said Eldrick pointing in a specific direction. Okay, go and do what you do best. Yes sir. After answering, Eldrick disappeared. Kevin, cover us, but don't expose yourself. Right. Wolfswood was filled with oaks, evergreen pines, many stones scattered on the ground, the smell is intoxicating, smell of wet wood. Following in the direction Eldrick pointed us, we came to a camp, some men were drinking, others harassing the bound women. This is it, eliminate as quickly as possible, don't hesitate, Kevin, help anyone who needs it, and don't let anyone escape, Roslin, be careful, your weapons are close range, Perseus, Sigurd, be careful, I instructed. Right, replied everyone, let's go. Going towards the bandits, one of them saw me and spoke. We have company, shouted one of them. It's just some fucking kids, they must be lost from their mother's teat, ha 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 ha, said another. What do you want, kid, are you here to die? He asked. Without answering his question, I made a gesture that I was taking an arrow from the quiver and putting it in the bow. The kid is retarded. After he finished his speech, I released the arrow. The moment I let go, an arrow lodged in the middle of his head. The forest was silent, the only audible noise was the bandits' bodies falling to the ground. When the bandits came back from their stupor, I was already in front of one of them, with a bastard sword in hand, opening a tear in his intestine. Blood and guts fell to the ground. After my attack, Sigurd went after one of them, separating its head from its body. Astrid, with her shield and sword in hand, shoved the sword through the bandit's mouth, who could see the blade continuing from the other side. Perseus, with all the grace of a knight, severed the arm of a guy who was touching a woman, and with a twist, cut off his head. Roslan, with his blades, pierced a guy's chest with almost imperceptible speed. The knife went in and out so many times that his body looked like a sieve. His last movement penetrated the man's jugular. What once were 10 men, now remained only 4 men, 3 in fact, because an arrow had just lodged itself in the eye of one of them. Sigurd, with his maniacal smile, started to attack the other with his huge axe. The bandit didn't have time to react, because his body split in two, waist and torso. All his intestine fell on the floor, blood and shit started to come out from everywhere, but the man still remained alive, only until Sigurd's axe crushed his head. The last 2 bandits began to flee into the forest, but an arrow penetrated the leg of one of them. "Arg, you monsters!" shouted the man. Walking towards the man with sword in hand, I decapitated him. Sigurd has the same smile as Jack, I thought, looking at the smile stuck on the face of Sigurd. "Arthur, one of them escaped," spoke Astrid. "No, he didn't," I said. Soon, Eldrick appears coming out of the woods, from the direction the other ran. In his hand a head was present. "Good job, guys, all enemies defeated and no one suffered a scratch. That was better than I thought," I spoke with a smile, as I wiped the blood from the sword on the headless man's back. "That was refreshing, ha 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 ha," spoke Sigurd. "Of course it was for you, you psycho," spoke Kevin, appearing in the camp. "Ha ha 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 ha." After cleaning the sword I went towards Perseus, who was helping the women. "Hi, are you guys okay?" I asked. "Thank you very much, my lord, you saved our lives," said a woman with her clothes all torn up. "I did what anyone with a little honor would do," I spoke. "Where are you from?" I asked. "We live in a village near Wolfswood. These bandits attacked the village, killed the men and kidnapped us," said the woman, now crying. "I am sorry for your losses, I will take you back to your village." "Thank you, my lord." "For nothing, here, take this." It was the bandits. I handed the woman a bag of coins, which the bandits had dropped. "Astrid, Roslan and Perseus, take them to the forest flora, we will clean up this mess," I spoke. "Okay, ladies, if you can follow me," spoke Perseus. All the women followed Perseus out of the forest. "How are we going to clean up this mess, sir?" Eldrick asked. "We will not cut off their heads and put them on stakes. I want all the bandits that ravage the northern lands to know, winter is coming." 34 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 16, Yggdrasil. After taking the women and children back to the village, we continued on our journey. We wandered through Wolfswood in search of more bandits, but hours of fruitless searching ensued, so we decided to make camp in the woods. Sitting around a fire, stuffing ourselves with wild boar meat that Kevin had hunted for us, and enjoying the pleasant evening, I took the lute that I had brought and began to sing a song. Music. Scarborough Fair, Aurora. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. For once, he was a true love of mine. Tell him to make me a cambric shirt. Parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. Without no seam nor fine needlework. And he shall be the true love of mine. Tell him to wash it in yonder dry. Parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. Where water sprung and rain never fell. And he shall be the true love of mine. Tell him to buy me an acre of land. Parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. Between salt water and the sea sand. And then he'll be the true love of mine. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Remember me to the one who lives there. For once he was a true love of mine. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. Remember me to the one who lives there. For once he was a true love of mine. For once he was a true love of mine. ... After the song, I sat down on a rock beside the fire and started to make some drawings and notes. "Nice song, Arth. What are you doing?" Astrid asked with a curious tone. "Thanks, just some sketches," I said. "About what?" Astrid questioned. "I intend to create a sort of brotherhood, only in a different way. Many will join us, and I want each of you to have your own subordinates," I explained. "Interesting, and what is this tree?" Astrid asked, as she pointed to the drawing she was making. "I intend to make from that tree our banners, and just like the tree, the group will have 9 branches, and each of us will command one of them." "Really? And what will mine be?" Astrid asked in an anxious voice. I haven't decided yet. Just Eldrix. I even have to talk to him. Excuse me. I replied, putting the notes away in one of my pockets. I stood up from the small rock I was sitting on, going towards Eldric, who was standing beside the fire, with a piece of meat in hand. Eldric, I have to talk to you. I spoke. Of course, my lord, Eldric replied, as he stood up from the ground. Follow me, I spoke. I went towards the oak tree, where the horses were tied up. After arriving, I searched my pockets until I found the paper I wanted. Eldric, I have a mission of utmost importance for you, I said, as I handed the paper to him. After taking the paper from my hand and reading it, Eldric nodded. So it shall be done, my lord. Eldric spoke. I know of your abilities, it won't be difficult, but I want extreme secrecy. I don't want anyone to know about me, yet. I understand, my lord. I went towards my horse, opened his saddlebag and pulled out a leather pouch. Take it, for expenses, I believe who has enough, but if you need more, take from my father my profits from the drinks and the loom, I said, as I handed him a coin pouch, which from the appearance and clinking presented to be full. Thank you, my lord, it will make it easier, Eldric replied. Come on, I'll let the others know, I said as I walked back to the camp with Eldric following me. Everyone, come, I have something to announce, I spoke aloud. Soon after my request, everyone gathered in front of me. I have a few things to announce. First, I have created an organization. For those who don't know the meaning, organization is an entity formed by two or more people who work in a coordinated manner in a certain environment aiming at a collective goal. It involves the division of tasks and assignment of responsibilities. That's what I want. I want all of us to be like a living being, each one responsible for a certain matter. I spoke. With that, I created Yggdrasil. After saying that, I showed them the drawing of a tree that resembles the weirwood of Winterfell. What is that tree? A weirwood, Sigurd asked. And what is Yggdrasil? Perseus asked. I based it and another tree on it, when I was younger. I heard a story from old Nan, that thousands of years ago, when only darkness and the abyss, there was a tree that sustained everything we know. Its name was Yggdrasil, its 9 roots were inhabited by different kinds of species, she was the guardian of all wisdom and it was through her that the first humans came into being. It is Yggdrasil who directs the fate of the world and all who inhabit it. I want to have control of my own destiny, I will write my story. I spoke. The organization will have 9 branches, each one of you will command one. I spoke. Any questions? What will we have to do? Astrid asked. Nothing for now, the only one who will do anything right now is Eldric. I have passed a mission to him. Eldric will be responsible for spying, intelligence gathering, assassinations and other things I may decide. As leader, you will answer to me. With that, Eldric, take a knee, I demanded. Following my orders without blinking, Eldric kneeled in front of me, his right leg bent, and his left extended on the floor. Lowering his head, he placed his right hand on his heart. By the power vested in me, by the old gods, who witnessed the creation of Yggdrasil, I Arthur Snow, name you Eldric Hell, General of Helheim. After that I unsheathed my sword, and laid it against his shoulders, right and left. 23 comments 0 vote. Chapter 17 Eagle +1 Eldric said goodbye this morning, to fulfill the mission he was given. We headed towards the last hearth, the headquarters of the Umber House, and instead of taking the King's Road, we decided to go through Wolfswood. On the journey, we came across something that would change the worldview we live in. Opening square bracket exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Warning. Sensitive content from now on out, scenes of R*PE, gore, and torture. We saw one of mankind's oldest pleasures, cruelty. As we were walking through the dense forest of Wolfswood, Kevin appeared in our path saying that he spotted a camp just ahead. A few meters away, we spotted the camp, but not only that. The camp was on the side of a small mountain, and piercing it was a cave, and in the doorway of the cave were some wagons, possibly the result of robberies. 3 men stood at the entrance, talking and laughing, possibly on guard. But what disgusted us the most was the pile of corpses beside the wagons, several corpses of women, men, and children. All the women and children were naked, clearly victims of abuse. Control yourself, as difficult as it may be, control your emotions and act with wisdom and caution. Keep these images in your minds. This is what we are fighting against. The world is not a gentle place. We will be faced with the same scenes or worse from now on. Show no mercy to humans like these, if they can be called that. They are the disease of these lands, and we will be the cure, I said. Everyone's expression emitted anger and sadness. Sigurd held the handle of his axe so tightly that I thought it would break. Perseus was trembling all over, his eyes bloodshot, he was biting his mouth so hard I could almost hear his teeth breaking. Astrid emitted only coldness and hatred in her eyes. Rosalind closed her fists so tightly that her nails tore into the flesh of her hand, and blood began to trickle out. Kevin's face was imperceptible, as he hid it beneath a hood, but it was clearly filled with rage. I tried my best to keep my emotions in control, but all of this was also new to me. As much as I had been instructed in how the law of the jungle worked, I had never encountered such corruption. The smell in the air didn't help the situation at all, the smell of wet woods mixed with the smell of blood and putrefaction. Get ready, let's purify the world of these vermin. I spoke. Everyone drew their weapons and prepared for the attack. Kevin, how many can you eliminate at once? I asked. 2, Kevin replied, with anger overflowing in his voice. Okay, on my signal kill the 2 on the left, I'll take the 1 on the right, I spoke. Kevin nodded to me. I grabbed a throwing knife attached to my leather armor, and got a little closer to the bandits. I used the shadows of the trees for cover, and got close enough for the knife to reach. With my left arm stretched forward and my right arm beside my head, with the knife in hand, I made a count sign with my left hand, 3, 2, 1. At the end of the count, I threw the knife at the throat of the bandit on the right. As soon as the knife made contact with his throat, 2 arrows pierced the skull of the other 2. Good job, Kevin. Let's go into the cave, and remember, control your emotions. I spoke to them in a serious tone. Entering the cave, we could hear female screams and cries. I unsheathed my sword, and prepared myself for whatever might come. Wait here, I'll see what's ahead, I said. Going deeper, the screams and cries became louder, and I held my sword even tighter. After a few meters, I reached a spacious place. The place looked like a slaughterhouse, with more bodies and blood scattered about. To the right of the entrance were some wooden cages with women and children trapped. There were a total of 15 men inside, some drinking, some raping. In the center was a man sitting on a chair in the center. He was dirty looking, with scars all over his face. Come drink and fuck boss, ha 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 ha, spoke one of the thugs, to the man sitting in the chair in the center. After getting the information I needed, I turned back to the group. There are 15 men inside. Everyone is distracted. It's the best time to attack. It's the biggest number we have faced so far, so be careful, and kill them as fast as possible. Don't kill the man sitting in the chair in the center, I have something special for him. Reaching where the bandits were, I turned to Sigurd and spoke. Now is a good time to take the mushroom, I spoke. Following my advice, Sigurd takes from his pocket a vial of liquid and takes it. After a few seconds, his pupils dilated, his breathing became heavier and he started to emit a growl. Sigurd is in berserk mode. Now I have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Let's go. We quickly entered, heading straight towards the bandits. Kevin entered already shooting arrows at the heads of 2 bandits. I went straight to their chief, slamming the hilt of my sword into his neck. We are under attack, shouted one of the bandits. After hearing the man's shout, 3 of them near the entrance tried to find their weapons, but Sigurd was faster. With a swing of his axe he cut off the head of one, threw his axe into the chest of another and tore the trachea of the last one with his hands. Perseus ran towards 2 of them, jamming his sword into their hearts, pulled the sword from the man's chest, and drove the blade into the other's eyes. Blood, eye fluid and brain matter dripped from his eyes. Rosalind, with the dexterity of a shadow cat, slashed the throats of 2 others. Astrid, with her shield and sword in hand, went to the guy who managed to grab his sword, making a vertical cut with the intention of splitting it in 2, but Astrid dodged the attack with her shield, and jammed her sword under the man's armpits. His death was slow and agonizing. Kevin shot 2 more arrows, one hitting the inside of the mouth of the screaming one, and the other hitting precisely the ear hole of the man who was searching for his sword among the bodies lying on the ground. I ran at the last 2, decapitated one while thrusting the sword from his chin to the top of his head. The whole action lasted about 2 minutes. Help all the survivors, treat their wounds, water and food, I ordered, even though I didn't need it, for Perseus went directly to them. I grabbed the leader of the bandits and pulled him by the hair out of the cave, with Sigurd following me, while the rest provided medical attention. Get a rope, I told Sigurd. I stood the man up on a rock. Sigurd brought the rope and tied the man's hands and feet so that he had his legs and arms spread. I went in front of him and slapped him in the face to wake him up. Wake up, motherfucker. What the fuck, let me go. Expernio, the man said. You're going to have to stay awake for this, so don't die first, I said in a cold tone. I walked up to his back, took my knife and ripped his clothes off. I walked towards the burning fire, and let the blade heat up. After a few minutes, the blade started to turn red. I took it from the fire and went back to the man. I came up behind him and cut his back from top to bottom with the boiling blade. The man started screaming like a pig, but I didn't stop. After cutting, with my hands, I started to open his back, until I reached the spine. Axe, I spoke. Sigurd, without blinking, passed me his one-handed axe. Taking the axe, I began to strike from his coccyx to his rib cage, separating each rib from his spine. With my hands I opened his ribs in a way that resembles wings. I stuck my hand in until I felt his lungs and pulled them out. The man's scream was so loud that all the people still alive in the cave began to come out to see what was happening. When they saw what he was doing, some began to vomit, but most remained watching, with a smile on their lips, as if all the pain he had caused them was slowly being repaid. Those who wish revenge, take a handful of salt and throw it on their backs. I spoke. Slowly, each one took a handful of salt that was in a barrel and went to the dying man, throwing it on his back. The man couldn't stop screaming from the pain, but no one here felt an ounce of remorse. When all ended, the man died in pain. I looked at Sigurd and spoke. Tie him to the trees, that same way. Those who bring destruction, suffering and death where they pass, will taste the blood eagle. This chapter was complicated to write. I hate everything related to abuse, but it was necessary for the development of each one. zLucasH creators' thoughts. 37 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 18, The Wall. Year 279 BC. A few years passed since the incident in the cave. We continued to clear all the north of bandits, and after a few months they started to spread rumors that it was a group of kids that were hunting them. All were killed with extreme brutality, with heads stuck on stakes, bandits tied to trees with their backs exposed, and all over the place of these massacres was a banner of a tree that looked like a weirwood, on a black background. Nobody knew the meaning of that symbol, so they associated it with the old gods, because of the tree that looks very much like the weirwood. With this, they began to call us the scourge of the gods, as if we were sent by them to rid the north of criminals and protect its believers from abuse and assassination. A few days ago I sent a letter to my father, using the Raven of the Umbers, asking if he would give me permission for a quick trip north of the wall, and today the answer came. My father authorized me, only if I avoided contact with the savages. I accepted easily, for it was not my intention to come into conflict with them. After thanking Lord Umber for his hospitality, who was very receptive after learning of our deeds, and became incredibly close to Sigurd, calling him to body fights and hunting, we headed for the wall. And seeing the huge monstrosity in front of me, it was easily acceptable to be one of the 9 man-made wonders of Lomas Longstride. The wall stretches for 300 kilometers and is approximately 200 meters high. It is made of solid ice, stone and earth, and can be seen from miles away. It looks gray or blue depending on the weather and time of day. The top is wide enough for a dozen mounted knights to ride side by side, and is thicker at the base. According to myth, there are ancient spells woven into the wall, to strengthen it and keep creatures of a magical nature like the others unable to pass through. The wall is straight as a sword from Castle Black to Adelial east of the sea, but runs like a snake between Castle Black and the Dark Tower. Builders of the watch monitor and repair the wall. Wind-blown dirt covers the wall like a film, and often appears pale gray or matte white. The wall glows blue and crystal clear in sunlight, glows pale in moonlight, and glows pink and purple at dawn, glows with melting ice on sunny days, with streams of water being compared to weeping. We arrive at the entrance of Castle Black, which is currently the main fortress of the Night's Watch. After a few seconds the gate opens, revealing some men dressed in black. Who are you? And what do you want with the Night's Watch? This is not an orphanage, spoke the man. I am Arthur Snow, son of Rickard Stark, and it is best to show respect. Remember, one of my ancestors was Osric Stark. He was chosen as Lord Commander at the age of 10. I have a letter from my father to Lord Commander Corgyle. I spoke. Come in, spoke the man. After passing through the gate, we saw several towers, and some other buildings. The whole place was ancient looking. In the central courtyard some men were doing their sword practice. Come, I will take you to the commander's tower, spoke the man, going towards a stone tower. Wait here, I'll go alone, I told the group. Entering the tower door, we climbed a staircase towards the manor house. Talk talk. Who is it? A voice asked. It's me, sir, Ebert, spoke the man. Come in, Ebert. Wait here, spoke Ebert to us. After a few seconds inside the room, Ebert comes out and says to us. Come in, the Lord Commander is waiting for you, he spoke. Thank you, I thanked the man. After entering the room I found a man sitting at a table full of papers. The man had a wide whitish mustache, he had white hair, although not much, as baldness was present. The man had a stern appearance. Commander Corquile, it is my pleasure. I am Arthur Snow, son of Rickard Stark. I come here today to ask you to let me pass through the wall. Here in this letter is my father's permission, allowing me to go beyond the wall. I spoke, as I handed the letter to Corquile. Without even looking at the contents of the letter, Corquile threw it into a wastebasket beside his desk. I don't authorize it. Your father may be the protector of the North, but he doesn't say anything here. I'm the one who runs this place, and I don't authorize your passage. I don't want to be held responsible for your stupid deaths. Come back when you become an adult, maybe then I'll allow it. spoke the man. After looking at the man for a few seconds, I took a deep breath. I understand. I apologize for the inconvenience. I will be leaving, I spoke, as I turned around heading towards the exit. When Corquile looked at my back and saw the symbol of a tree stamped on my black cloak, he arched his eyebrows. Wait, spoke the man. Halting my steps, I turned to the Lord Commander. Anything else, sir? I asked with slight irritation in my voice. That symbol on your back, are you the scourge of the gods? Asked the man. Yes, we are, I spoke, infatuating the we. Ha. Why didn't you say so before? Said the man, laughing, as he stood up and walked to a table behind his desk. The table had a few jugs of possibly alcoholic beverages. Would you like some vodka? That drink helps to warm you up. Said Corquile. No, thanks, I spoke. Everyone here in Castle Black is a fan of your accomplishments. We thought Scourge was a being, half man and half wolf, but he is only a child. Spoke Corquile, with amusement. I will allow you to leave beyond the wall, as a thank you for your deeds, but you will be accompanied by some rangers. Said Corquile. Agreed, I spoke. You will leave tomorrow morning. Today you will be guests of the patrol. Spoke Corquile. And I thought you were a serious guy. Come on, I'll let the members know, spoke Corquile, placing the glass of vodka on his desk and heading for the door. By the way, remind me to thank your father for those drinks, it helps a lot to keep us warm, and to sterilize the wounds. Maestre Emin was elated when he learned of its effectiveness. He spoke. No need to thank me, I will ask my father to send a few barrels of vodka for you, it is the least we can do, after all, it is you who protect the kingdom of men, I spoke with a smile. I like you, kid, Corquile said with a smile as he put his arms around my shoulders. After arriving at the courtyard, I left the group. I saw Sigurd training one along with the patrol men, in fact he was slaughtering the patrol guys. Sir Commander, you won't believe it, they are the scourge of the gods, spoke a man. I know, said Corquile, laughing. Men, today we will fight and drink with the scourges of the gods. Shouted the Lord Commander. Isso, shouted all the men of the patrol. I think these men were in need of a party. I can't imagine how dull it must be to live trapped in these walls. I thought. Commander Corquile, may I make another request? I asked. Of course, spoke Corquile. Would you give me permission to access the Black Castle Library? I understand it encompasses drawings of the faces in the weirwood, the language of the forest children and scrolls of Valyria. I give permission. I will have a man escort you to Maester Emin's room. From there he will take you to the vaults in the basement, where the library is. Spoke Corquile. Thank you, sir. After spending some time with the patrol people, I asked them to take me to Maester Emin. The Maester Emin stood above the nursery, which is the nesting place of the crows of Castle Black, in a sturdy wooden keep. After knocking on the door, an ancient voice came up. Come in. Entering the room, I am faced with Maester Emin, the Maester of Black Castle. Emin is bald, wrinkled and shrunken, his blind eyes are cloudy and white as milk, he has a thin, fleshless neck. Emin always wears his Maester chain, which includes links of gold, iron, lead, silver, pewter and other metals, showing his prowess in various arts. The Maester walks with a slow cane. Maester Emin, very pleased to meet you. The pleasure is mine, sir. Arthur Snow, son of Rickard Stark, I spoke. I see, a bastard from the north. Come boy, come closer, let me see what you look like, spoke the Maester. Approaching the Maester, he held up his wrinkled old hands, and began to feel my face, eyes, mouth, nose, etc. A pretty boy, tell me boy, what can this old man do for you? He asked. I want to read some books from the library, I have heard stories that his collection is very rich. I spoke. Indeed, it is a rich collection, tell me, do you like to read? Maester asked. I love it sir, I spoke. Why? Asked Maester curiously. Reading is an inexhaustible source of pleasure, but, incredible as it may seem, almost all do not feel this thirst. I spoke. Well said, said Emin smiling. Come, I'll walk you to the library. 26 comments 0 vote. Chapter 19 Library. I spent the entire early morning in the library with Maester Emin. As much as we met recently, we became very close for some reason. He told me his whole story, of how his grandfather Daron LL Targaryen, I guess it was dangerous to have too many potential heirs and sent him to the Citadel. At the age of 19 he finished his studies, forging his chain. Maestre Emin then served in a nobleman's court. After succeeding to the Iron Throne, King Maekar I Targaryen summoned Emin and his brothers to court, not wanting to sit on the small council, as he thought it would replace the Grand Maestre. Emin chose to serve in Dragonstone, the seat of his older brother, Prince Daron, until Daron died of smallpox. A grand council was convened in 233 AC, after Makar's death in the Peak Revolt. As Prince Aegon was considered by some lords to be half peasant, it was suggested that Aemon might be released from his sworn vows and thus succeed his late father. Aemon silently refused, however, ceding the government to his younger brother, who became Aegon V. Aemon chose to go to the Wall and join the Night's Watch for fear of being used in a plot to usurp his brother, King Aegon V Targaryen. The king provided Aemon with an honor guard, emptying the dungeons to take the watch vows with him. Among them were Brynden Rivers, who later became Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and many of the Raven's Teeth. Aegon's friend, Sir Duncan the Tall, accompanied the new recruits aboard the Golden Dragon on their way to Adeliel east of the sea. And here he remained until today. In this place, full of ice, snow, cold, and criminals, Aemon is one of the wisest people I have ever had the privilege to meet, even in the Elysian Fields. One thing caught my attention. For Aemon's knowledge and wisdom, he could easily have been an archmaester, and this intrigued me, so I questioned him. He told me that the Citadel was overjoyed when it learned that he had no interest in the throne, and so they sent him to the Wall, to stay as far away as possible from the royal conflicts. I kept this information in mind. It is something to be investigated later. In these hours here in the library I read several books. As I had a photographic memory, memorizing their contents were not a problem. Some books caught my attention, one of them very old, probably as old as the Wall. The most curious thing is how a book remains intact with such a long passage of time, and the only conclusion I could think of was magic. One of the books told the story of the Sons of the Forest, giants and first men, but it was not the popularly known story. It had several elements that differentiate them. For example, Brandon the Builder was not the son of Brandon of the Bloody Blade, as some claim, but the junction of a son of the forest with a first man, and this explains his magical prowess, his ability in the true language. All Starks descend from Brandon. This would explain his magical affinities, but the most interesting is his ability to absorb blood. After the long night, there was a monarch. His name is unknown, but he was known as King Warg. Documents brought from the Night Fort indicate that the Warg King ruled the Sea Dragon Point. He allied with the Sons of the Forest, but they were defeated by the Winter Kings of House Stark. The Starks killed their sons, beasts and green seers, but took their daughters as prizes, marrying them, and with that, their descendants acquired the Warg ability. And you also had the Barrow Kings. They were a dynasty of kings of the Highlands in what is now the North. They claimed to have been monarchs over all the first men and called themselves kings of the first men, casting a curse on any of those who tried to usurp them. A curse that would feed on the vital essence of the person, making them, like a corpse. The Barrow Kings fought against the Winter Kings, the Starks of Winterfell, north of the Grave Lands, in the Thousand Years' War, but the runes of the first men indicate that the conflict lasted about 200 years. When the last Barrow King submitted to Winterfell, the Stark King received his daughter in marriage, thereby acquiring immunity to his curse, and probably some necromancy ability. They say that the cadaverous woman that the Night King married was a descendant of the Barrows. I asked Maester Aemon if he would allow me to take some books with me. He said that since the books belonged to the patrol, he had no power to allow it, so I asked Commander Corquile if I could, and he allowed me, but said that once he finished reading, to return it to the patrol. I accepted easily. In the morning, I gathered the group together to prepare us for departure, and soon the 3 rangers that Corquile selected to accompany us arrived. They wore all black clothing, made of rough and ordinary wool. They wore black chain mail, coifs and half-elms. They all carried steel knives stuck in their chests. One of them carried a bow, and the rest swords. I am Kyle. I will lead the expedition. This one with the bow is Barry and this one without the ear is Paul, spoke the man. Spoke Sigurd. Hi, I'm Arthur. This is Perseus, Astrid, Roslyn, Sigurd and Kevin. I think we better enjoy the sunlight and go soon, I said. Correct. Let's go, spoke Kyle, heading for the gate in the wall. The gate guards the tunnel through the wall, which is long, winding and narrow. 3 iron gates block the inner passage. Each of these gates is locked and has a murder hole above it. The outer door to the tunnel is solid oak, about 8 inches thick. A large zigzag staircase rises from the Black Castle to the top of the wall. It is made of wooden ladders, anchored by huge beams frozen into the wall itself. An iron cage attached to a winch is used to climb up and down the face of the wall. The cage can hold 10 men and is located near the Black Castle pit. Supplies and barrels of gravel can be transported to the top through the cage. The facilities at the top of the wall include a small warming shed for the servicemen located near the crane. Open the gates, spoke Kyle. After a few minutes all the gates open, showing a narrow tunnel, lit by torches. Where are you guys planning to go? Kyle asked, as he headed into the tunnel in slow steps. Whitetree, I spoke. Hope you enjoyed today's chapter. It took a lot of research. Thank you. zLucasH creators' thoughts. 4 comments 0 vote. Chapter 20 Whitetree. The moment I spoke the destination, Kyle stopped his steps. Negative, Whitetree is inhabited by savages. I have been ordered to avoid all savages we encounter. Spoken Kyle with unwavering conviction. I understand your hesitation, friend. I also understand Lord Commander Corquile's orders, but we need to go there. There is something calling me and I need to know what it is. I spoke looking directly into Kyle's eyes. When Kyle met Arthur's cold heterochromatic eyes, he felt a numbness go through his body, from the back of his neck to his tailbone. Right, we'll take you to Whitetree. Leave the horses, it's better to go on foot, it will draw less attention, spoke Kyle, with misty eyes. Come on, follow me. The moment we entered the narrow, icy tunnel, I felt a tingle run through my body. Magic. I closed my eyes and put my palm against the walls of the tunnel. That's when I felt it, an oppressive magic. I felt like a tiny drop in a vast ocean. If this magic still remains after thousands of years, I can't imagine the sacrifice required for that. They say that dragons are the carriers of magic, that when the last one died, the magic disappeared. Maybe this information is somehow wrong. If this is true, it will change a lot of things. With each passing minute I feel closer to the truth. Opening my eyes, I went on my way. After passing through the tunnel, we arrived on the other side of the wall. The moment I put my feet outside, I had the sensation of being watched. I ignored the sensation and continued walking. After walking for some time we saw in the distance, a place that resembles a village. The village consists of 4 one-room houses falling apart, which surround a sheepfold and a well. The houses are built of stone without mortar and covered with grass. They have windows closed with pieces of leather, low doors, dirt floors and a smoke hole in the ceiling. Above the village stands a huge old weirwood. Its trunk is almost 2.5 meters wide and its branches shade the village. The irregular mouth of the carved face of the heart tree is big enough to swallow a sheep. Some people were present around the tree, wearing light clothes, boiled leather and stitched sheepskin, strapped to their waists some swords and axes made of bronze, some of stone and wood. The women were singing a song I recognized. The last of the giants. Stay here, I will go alone, it will be brief. I spoke. Be careful, said Astrid. It's dangerous for you to go alone, said Kyle. It's more dangerous if I go with crows. I said. You're right, but as soon as we see any danger we will come to you, said Kyle. That's fine with me, I said with a smile. Save it for me, I ordered as I passed my bastard sword. Barry, climb the tree and cover Arthur, spoke Kyle. Yes sir. I headed towards Whitetree with light steps and calmness. I was wearing a black hoodie, and an all-black outfit. As I got even closer to the tree, my presence was noticed by a man. Stop, who are you? Asked the man with the bronze sword in hand. I got lost from my father. We were hunting in the forest and I lost sight of him. Then I walked and came here, I spoke as I lowered my hood. A child? What unusual hair and eyes, thought the man. Where are you from, boy? Asked the man. I live somewhere in the haunted forest, but I don't know where, I spoke with sad eyes. Shakespeare taught me how to act just right. Okay, come here, spoke the man. I approached the man with my head down. What's your name, boy? He asked. Bjorn, I said. Okay, Bjorn, why don't you wait until your father comes here to look for you, and we'll take care of you in the meantime. The man said with a smile. Thank you, I said, smiling. These are the infamous savages. Famous for being murderers, rapists, lawless thieves and primitives. The only thing I see are people in extreme hardship, trying to survive an inhospitable place. One should not judge other people by the actions of others. Sir, I have never seen such a weirwood, can I come closer? I asked with bright eyes. Sure, we are free people, don't call me sir, my name is Hakon. He spoke. I nodded to the man, and headed towards the tree. It was the biggest tree I had ever seen in this life. With each step closer to the tree, my heart squeezed harder, and the feeling of being watched was even greater. When I was less than a meter away from the tree, I took a deep breath and put my palm against it. The moment my hand touched the tree, my eyes turned all white, and my consciousness was transported to another place. The place was a cave, full of white roots, the floor of black earth, with many bones of birds and animals. Skulls of various creatures are placed in stone niches in the walls. The cave opening into a black abyss, with a swift river 200 meters below, and seated on a throne of braided weirwood roots was an old man. He wore rotten and faded clothes, stained with moss and half-eaten by worms, on a throne of tangled weirwood tree roots. His skin is white, apart from a red patch on his neck and cheek. He has thin white hair, long enough to reach the earthen floor. On his face is missing one eye, while the other is red. Damn tree roots surround the man and grow through his body, including his leg and his empty eye socket. Hello Arthur Snow, spoke the man. His voice is slow and dry, as if he had forgotten how to speak. How do you know my name? I asked. I know many backs Arthur, spoke the man. Since you know many things, you must also know who you are. What is your name, old man? I spoke. I have used many names, and lost many names, but the only one I have not lost, and the one I miss the most, is the name my mother gave me on her lap. It was Brynden. 20 comments 0 vote. Chapter 21 Brynden Rivers. What? Brynden. Brynden Rivers. Bastard son of Aegon IV. The famous Lord Bloodraven? I asked. The very one, in the flesh. Well, more bone than flesh, Brynden spoke. You still alive? You must be what, 104 years old? I asked. Still alive, and will live for a few more years, Brynden spoke. How did I get here? I asked in doubt. Your consciousness was transported here, Brynden spoke. And where is here? I asked. Here is where I currently live, a cave beyond the wall, within the haunted forest, east of the Fist of the First Men and southwest of the Antler River. The entrance is a crevice in a wooded hillside, halfway between some weirwood. Brynden spoke up. Why don't you go back to the Watch? Everyone thinks you're dead, I said. I am here because of fate. When I was the Lord Commander of the Watch, I had the thought that we were the shield that protected the realm of men against the savages, but all those thoughts were but a simple illusion. The reality is something deeper and more macabre. The Watch and the Wall was not created to separate these two peoples, but to protect the living from the dead, and here they are again, rising from their icy graves. Spoke Brynden, with tristeza, anger, and a little fear in his weak voice, which sounded more like the sound of two timbers scraping each other. While everyone wants to play king, the dead rise up, bringing with them the annihilation of life, Brynden spoke. I thought all the chance the living had was slim, but you came along and changed the whole game. I see in you the opportunity to prevail this catastrophe, spoke Brynden, trying to make a smile. Me? If all that you said is true, which I assume is the return of the whites, how would my presence change the plot? I asked. Precisely, the whites are coming back, and the only ones who are aware of it are us two, some savages and very few members of the patrol. Although they believe it is only a hallucination, it is as they say, the worst blind of all, is the one who does not want to see, Brynden spoke. And about you, your existence is a paradox, boy, you should not be alive. Your presence changed the courses of history to be traveled. Nothing escaped or escapes my sight. I am known to have 1,000 eyes in one. 11 years ago fate began to alternate. I could not know why or who was causing it. Whenever I tried to visualize, all I could see was a battlefield, on one side a torrential blizzard, and on the other, a raging fire, but amazingly enough, the two divergent sides never clashed. It was as if instead of a battlefield, it was more like a dance, as if the two sides danced to a song of ice and fire. Spoke Brynden, showing a smile on his wrinkled face. Until, a few hours ago, I felt some figures with magic in their bodies going beyond the wall. That's when I started watching you. A group of children venturing beyond the wall. It's not something we see much of, even more so when all these children have magic around them, albeit, to some weaker degree, compared to you. Brynden spoke. Their magic is somewhat subtle. Yours is thick and aggressive. The magic in your blood is something I have never seen before. No matter how cloudy it is, I can see a trace of greenseers in you. It is not as strong as mine, but it is still there. Brynden spoke, his voice slow and dry. Me a greenseers. Old Nan used to tell me story about them, that they were the wise leaders of the children of the forest who had magical abilities, including power over nature and green vision, but just like the children, aren't they extinct? I asked. Besides the two of us, there are no other greenseers, well, at least not yet. Until 11 years ago I predicted the birth of a child, who in order to fly, lost his legs. Brynden spoke. What do you mean? I asked, not understanding what Brynden spoke. Nothing, that is a matter for later. I believe we are running out of time. There is something I want to give you. I have hidden it in the Lichyard, a kind of cemetery in Westeros, of Castle Black. It is on the east road below the wall, near ancient tombs. Its tomb is white in color, with a blood-red raven drawn on its headstone. Its epitaph is written in High Valyrian, 1,000 eyes and one. I know you will make good use of the items it contains there, Brynden spoke. Now it is time for you to return. We will see each other another day, and next time, it will be in person. Spoke Brynden. Wait, I spoke. I had no time. The next thing I knew, I was back in the old, huge weirwood, taking my hands off the tree. I noticed a few seconds had passed. I still had questions about the whites. Leave it for next time then. I'd better get back to the group. Sneaking away without anyone seeing me, I went back to where the guys were gathered. I'm back, I said. That was fast, Kyle said. Yeah, I thought it would take longer, but I've accomplished my purpose for coming. Time to get back, I said. Already, I haven't even fought any wildlings yet, said Sigurd, sadly. Thank the gods, my balls are freezing, Kevin said, while holding his testicles. Vocabulary Kevin, said Perseus. Shut up, knight, replied Kevin. Idiots, spoke Astrid, with annoyance. Ha ha ha, Rosalind laughed with her hands in front of her mouth. As the group discussed, Barry came down from the tree with his bow in hand. We better go, in a few hours it will be dark, Barry spoke. Come on, get up off the ground, Paul, spoke Kyle. Paul continued sitting on the ground leaning against a pine tree. Damn, I forgot he doesn't have one ear, and to help, the other one is lousy. Spoke Kyle, addressing Paul and kicking his legs. Follow me, Kyle said, walking towards the wall. After a few minutes of walking, I heard some sort of crying from some distance away. Wait, I said. I hear something, I said, as everyone stopped their steps and drew their weapons. I don't hear anything, Paul said. Of course you don't, idiot, you're deaf, said Kevin. Ha 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 ha, laughed Sigurd. Stay here, I'll see what it is. I spoke, heading towards the sound. After a few minutes of walking, I got even closer to the sound. After a while I was able to figure out the crying sound. It was two puppies, one a small wolf, completely white in color, with red eyes. The other was a small cat, completely black with small white stripes. The two were playing, one trying to climb on top of the other, while giving little bites. A wolf and shadowcat puppy, I thought. As I approached the pups, I knelt on one leg and pulled some strips of beef jerky from my pocket. Come on, you must be hungry, I spoke with a smile. Upon hearing my voice, the two stopped fighting and slowly approached me. The two started sniffing the piece of jerky in my hand, and after a few seconds they ate. Ha ha ha, what cute little creatures, I said as I stroked the wolf's little head and the cat's ear. After eating the meat, the wolf started licking my hand, and the cat rubbed itself against my legs. I've decided, I'm taking them with me. Taking the wolf with one hand, I spoke. You will be called Fenrir, I said after checking the gender of the wolf, which I found to be male. Taking the cat with the other hand, I said. And you will be Hela, I said, after checking that it was female. That which is not dead may lie eternally. And with strange ages, even death can die. zLucasH creators' thoughts. 27 comments 0 vote. Chapter 22 Return to Wall. Holding them both close to my chest, covering them with my robes, I turned back to the group. I'm back, I said. Hey Arthur, they are savages right? Let's fight, spoke Sigurd with a lopsided smile. No, they weren't wild, it's just these two here, I spoke, as I took the pups out of my robes. AWNN, puppies, spoke Rosalind, with a sweet smile on her face. This is Fenrir, I spoke as I showed the white wolf cub. And that's Hela, I spoke showing the black cat. These are the new members of Yggdrasil, I spoke with a smile. Can I hold them? Asked Rosalind. Sure, I replied, handing the kittens to Rosalind. You know they are the offspring of a shadowcat and direwolf, right? Said Barry. How do you know it's a direwolf puppy? I asked, because until then, I thought it was just an ordinary wolf pup. Simple, here in the north of the wall, it is more common to come across them. I've had the opportunity to see some newborn pups, this one must be around 2 months old, said Barry. 2 months. I thought he was over a year old, I said with surprise. It's normal, direwolf pups grow up to the size of ponies, but some are even bigger, and can reach the size of adult horses, and by the size and age of this puppy I believe he can easily reach the height of a horse, said Barry. Are you sure you're going to keep them? They are extremely wild creatures. Kyle said. I don't know if you remember, but my house sigil is a direwolf, it is in my blood the power to control these amazing animals, I spoke. So it looks like the direwolf will be back in Westeros after over 200 years. Kyle spoke. I just ask that you be careful, shadowcat and direwolf are aggressive animals, they can hurt civilians and even you, so always keep them under control, spoke Kyle. Right, thanks for the information and the advice. I spoke. Let's get going, we need to get to the wall before dark. Kyle spoke. After a few more hours of walking, we were in front of the wall, waiting for the gates to open. After they opened, we entered the narrow tunnel and continued on our way, passing through the other gates, until we reached the other side of the wall, back to the 7 kingdoms. Thank you Kyle, Barry and Paul, thanks to you we were able to get around safely, without bumping into any savages or danger. I spoke shaking hands with the 3 of them. No problem, we were already restless staying here on the wall, I couldn't stand to hear Commander Corquile's laughter anymore, ha ha ha, Kyle said with a slight laugh. I understand buddy, his laughter is indeed annoying, I spoke up. I heard that, spoke a voice behind me. Speaking of the devil, there he was, Mr. Commander Corquile, with his long white mustache. Sir Commander, I spoke with respect. I heard you talking, is my laughter annoying? Corquile spoke with annoyance. I don't know what you are talking about, sir. I was just saying, how awesome your mustache is, and how infectious your laugh is, I said with a smile. Really? Kyle spoke up, nodding his head. After a few seconds of silence. Ha 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 ha, I really like you, kid. Let's go inside, it's cold out here. Korquile spoke. Okay, let's go guys, I said. Following Korquile, who was heading towards the communal hall, he noticed the Shadowcat in Roslyn's arms, and the wolf pup with Astrid. New companions? He asked. Yes, the wolf is Fenrir, and the cat is Hela, I spoke with a smile. Right, I won't even waste my time talking about the dangers, because, I think you already know, Korquile spoke with a serious tone. I know, sir, Kyle warned me about it too. I said. Well, I see great things in you, boy, but know that the candles that shine the strongest are the ones that burn the fastest. Korquile spoke. Thanks for the advice, sir, spoke Arthur. No problem, let's hurry up. Dinner is ready, spoke Korquile. Right, I replied. After dinner, I told Korquile that I would leave at sunrise, I have some unfinished business to attend to. When dawn came, I put on all black clothes, and snuck out of the room I was in. I headed towards the east road, below the wall, where the Lichyard was. The architecture of Castle Black's Lichyard is very similar to Winterfell's. Winterfell's is located near the first keep. The servants of the old Winter Kings are buried there under lichen-stained tombstones. The one at Castle Black was old, with scattered pine trees, with several graves in the ground. Some of them were more detailed than others, possibly of high-ranking servants. After walking around the cemetery for a few minutes, I came across a grave hidden between some trees. It had moss covering most of it. If someone inattentive walked by, they would hardly notice it. Cleaning the mosses stuck to the headstone, there it was, the blood-red crow and the epitaph written in High Valyrian. 1,000 eyes and one. So this is the tomb Brynden told me about. Taking out a hammer I brought with me, I began to break the whitish stone. After a few minutes of a lot of hammering, I managed to break the whole guy of it. Pulling the rubble off the top, I saw a black cloth with the crest of a white dragon with red eyes, releasing a red flame from its vents. Brynden's personal crest. After pulling the cloth, a wooden chest appeared, with some leather straps circling it. Taking the chest from inside the tomb, I placed it on the floor. He didn't tell me I would need keys, I thought after seeing the lock on the front of the chest. Luckily I always carry a few lockpicks with me. Taking the lockpicks out of my pocket, I started the opening process. A few seconds later, I hear a tick. Got it. Opening the chest, right away I saw a black and gray suit of clothes, with the same coat of arms printed on it. On top of the clothes a letter was present. Taking the letter first, I opened it and began to read. I am Brynden Rivers, known as Lord Bloodraven, bastard son of King Aegon V Targaryen and his sixth mistress, Melissa Blackwood. I have always been loyal to House Targaryen. In the 3 rebellions I remained unchanged, defending my house tooth and nail, but what did I get in return? I lost an eye fighting with my brother. I asked that he be executed for all the treason he committed, but instead, he was granted the patrol. And to make matters worse, he managed to flee to Essos before his ship even reached Adalylest. And then, to avoid another loss of innocent people because of another rebellion, at the Council of 233 BC, which was convened by the hand of the king to discuss the succession, Aenys Blackfyre who wanted to attend the Grand Council, I offered safe conduct to King's Port of Tyrosh. Once Aenys arrived in the capital, I had him arrested by the Golden Robes and then beheaded in the Red Keep, totally destroying my honor in the process, to avoid further bloodshed. And how was I congratulated? I was simply offered to take the black or death, and with that, I declare the death of Brynden Rivers, who died being betrayed by the family in which he gave his blood and honor to protect, and I declare the birth of Three-Eyed Crow, the new brother of the Night Patrol, and as an act of revenge against that family who betrayed me, I brought with me Dark Sister, their ancestral sword, taking all the honor and nobility she once brought to them, just as they did to me. Finishing the letter, I took the clothes out of the trunk and put them on the floor, and inside the trunk only a dagger, a sword, and a bow remained. Picking up the bow first, I realized that it was made of weirwood, by its white coloring. Kevin will like this. Setting the bow aside, I picked up the dagger. The dagger had a black handle, with a silver pommel, its hand guard had the same silver coloring, the scabbard of the dagger was scarlet, with a silver dragon, the same as the coat of arms. Drawing the dagger, I saw its blade, which had a black color and a distinctive wavy pattern visible, present only on blades made of Valyrian steel. A dagger of Valyrian steel, I thought happily. Putting the dagger back in its sheath, I placed it next to the bow. Picking up the last item inside the chest, the sword. The sword was stunning. It had a pommel in the shape of a red fire, its handle was bronze in color, the hand guard had a wavy shape, with a golden color, and in its center a large ruby was attached. The sheath of the sword was simple, only black leather. Drawing the sword, I was again struck by the wavy pattern, very similar to the Damascus steel of my former life. The coloring of the blade was black, as are almost all weapons made of Valyrian steel. After a few minutes of observing the stunning sword, I thought of something I couldn't contain the smile on my face. Dark sister, I muttered with a smile. I have my own ghosts, Bran. A brother I loved, a brother I hated, a woman I desired. Through the trees, I still see them, but no word of mine has ever reached them. The past remains the past. We can learn from it, but we cannot change it. Brynden to Bran Stark. zLucasH creators' thoughts. 15 comments 0 vote. Chapter 23 White Harbor. Black Sister, one of the two ancestral swords of House Targaryen, used by Visenya Targaryen in the conquest of Aegon. The sword claimed thousands of lives, and after many years of killing, the sword began to thirst for blood, at least that's what the story says. As incredible as it is to have this sword in my possession, I have to take into account that it is the ancestral sword of the house that rules the Seven Kingdoms. I am sure that if they see me carrying it, they will demand it back, and not to attract the wrath of all Westeros, I will be forced to hand it over. Unless I turn it into another sword, as much as I don't want to do that, I think that's the only option. The hardest thing is to find someone blacksmith who can work with Valyrian steel. Looks like I'll have to see Eldrick sooner than expected. I gathered all the items from the trunk, and cleaned the place, mainly erasing the traces that there was Bloodraven's tomb. After cleaning all the traces, I went back towards the lodgings, to wait for the sunrise. At sunrise, we gathered our things and headed for the main courtyard. I will say goodbye to Lord Commander and Maester Aemon, finish putting things away, and grab some provisions. We collected more on the way. Our destination is now White Harbor. I have to contact Eldrick. I spoke. When I said that we were going to White Harbor, Perseus showed a slight happiness on his face. Understood, said all 5 of the 5. I went towards the rookery, where I assume the maester is. After reaching the door of his room, I knocked subtly on his door. Talk. Come in, spoke an old voice. It is I, Maester Arthur. I have come to say goodbye to you, and to thank you for all the teachings and advice you have passed on to me. I spoke. Oh, Arthur, you have come to say goodbye to this old man. Come, accompany me to the courtyard, spoke Aemon, getting up from the chair he was sitting in. Holding Aemon by the arms, I guided him towards the courtyard. Maester, the books I borrowed, I haven't had a chance to read yet, but I promise you that I will return them to you intact, of course, only if you allow me to take them with me. I spoke. As I said before, young man, I do not have the power to decide about them, but I know that you will take great care of them, for, like me, you know that those who read, live 1,000 lives before they die, and he who does not, lives only one, Aemon spoke. Precisely. After reaching the courtyard, I saw that the Lord Commander was already present. Lord Commander Corquile, I was already going until you fired me. I spoke. I was already on my way to the courtyard. Corquile spoke. I understand. I thank you for all the hospitality you offered us. I know that feeding Sigurd is not an easy task, and I know the lack of resources you have. The North remembers, and I more so. I will not forget this helping hand you extended to me. With all my heart, my most sincere, thank you. I spoke respectfully, as I extended to the hand. There will always be a place for all of you in our hearts. Corquile spoke, shaking my hand. Thank you to all the brothers of the patrol. In the future I will pay you a visit again, I spoke with a smile. And Maester Aemon, if you could send this letter to Winterfell, I would appreciate it, I spoke. No problem, Aemon spoke up. Time to go, see you next time, I spoke, as I climbed on my oar. Leaving Castle Black, we got on the road and rode on. Why did you ask Maester Aemon to send a letter to Winterfell? Aren't we going to stop by there on the way to White Harbor? Astrid asked. No, we will go the other way. As much as I am missing my brothers and my father a lot, I have other things to do, and staying home for a while might make me change my goals. And by the way, Kevin, this is for you, I spoke, as I took out a white bow wrapped in cloth. A weirwood bow, where did you get it? Kevin asked, as he analyzed the bow. A little bird told me where to find it. I spoke with a smile. Okay, I won't insist on knowing, but why me? You are as good at the bow as I am. Kevin spoke. You will make more good use of it. I spoke. Thank you, my lord, spoke Kevin, with thanks. What about us? Do we get nothing? Sigurd asked. For now I have nothing to give you, but I promise to give you weapons just as good. I spoke. That's a promise Sigurd spoke. Yes, it is a promise. Now let's hurry, we must get to White Harbor as soon as possible. I said. Let's go, spoke everyone. After a few days of travel, we arrived in front of White Harbor. The city is the largest settlement north of the bottleneck, but the smallest among the 5 main cities of Westeros. White Harbor is the main trading port in the north, and its location at the mouth of the White Knife offers trading opportunities further north. The town is clean and well organized, with wide, straight cobblestone streets that make walking easy. The houses are built of whitewashed stone, with steep roofs of dark gray slate. Riding through the cobblestone streets called Fishfoot Yard, we followed the direction we were told where the Wines Inc., Lazy Eel, is located, which is down a flight of stairs, under a warehouse full of sheepskins. Entering the door, if it is a door at all, one finds an inhospitable place. The place has a vaulted ceiling stained black with soot, its floor is dirt, the air smells of smoke, rotten meat and old vomit, the cellar is large, full of nooks and shaded alcoves where a man can be alone if he so chooses. There is a fireplace, where some drunkards were passed out. While everyone else preferred to wait outside, I went towards the counter. "I want to talk to the owner of the establishment," I spoke. "You are talking to him," said the man behind the counter, not even looking at me, as he was absorbed in his own thoughts. Taking out a coin of some sort, with a weirwood carved on it, I pushed it over the counter, as far as the man's vision could see. "Memento mori," I spoke. "Memento mori," the man repeated. "How may I serve you, my lord?" spoke the man with immense respect, as if he was looking at his progenitor. "I need you to send this letter to Hades. In 3 days I will return," I spoke, as I passed the letter to the man. "And so it shall be done, my lord." The man spoke as he took the letter and put it in his robes. "What is your name, sir?" "To inform Master Hades," asked the man. "Call me Woden." Emin's quote about "who reads books lives 1,000 lives" is by George R.R. Martin. Memento mori is a Latin expression that means something like, "Remember that you are mortal, remember that you are going to die," or literally translated as, "Remember death." This expression was the greeting used by the Paulians, hermits of St. Paul of France, also known as brothers of death. Woden is the name of Odin in Germanic mythology. zLucasH creators' thoughts. 22 comments, 0 vote. Chapter 24, Wolf's Den. Pav Rickard Stark. As much as I read and write and sign letters every day, there are always more letters the next day. But at least, with the money we've been making, we've been able to meet most of the needs, and we've been able to make sure that everyone at least has something to eat this winter. While one of my kids took a lot out of my troubles, another one caused more. That damned Brandon had to take Barbary Ricewell's virginity, and now what do? Either I cancel the engagement between him and Caitlin, trampling on the honor of Hoster Tully, or I marry him to Caitlin, causing resentment and dishonoring Barbary and the House Ricewell, one of the most loyal houses to mine. Damn it, Brandon, what have you gotten me into? Rickard thought, as he read a letter with a sigil of a black wolf, on a white field, Brandon's personal sigil. Talk *, talk. "It is I, my lord," spoke a voice, which I identified to be that of Maester Lewin. "Come in, Maester," I spoke. "My lord, a letter has arrived from Arthur," spoke Lewin, as he handed the letter. "Give it to me," I spoke, extending my hand to the letter. After a few minutes of reading, Rickard put the letter down with a smile on his face. "Ha ha ha, Arthur always surprises me." Maester Lewin, seeing this, was surprised and somewhat happy. Rickard was a very reserved person. Almost every time, he was with a stern face and a quiet dignity. But when he was with his sons, especially Arthur, Rickard showed more emotions, but this is the first time I heard him give such a relaxed laugh. Maester Lewin was curious about the contents of the letter. "Maester," Rickard spoke. "Yes, my lord. Talk to Jarell to prepare weapons and some armor, and talk to Edgar to gather some of the food, get 20 barrels of vodka, and send them to Castle Black," spoke Rickard. "Will do, my lord," spoke Lewin, soon leaving the room. "And just when I think you can no longer surprise me, ha ha ha, a direwolf and a shadowcat," murmured Rickard with a smile stamped on his face. Pav Arthur Snow. After 3 days, I returned to the Winnesik, and the place remained with the same smell, smoke, spoiled meat and urine. I approached the counter, and the same man was there, drying a glass with a dirty cloth. "Good morning, do you have something for me?" I asked the man. "Lord Woden, Master Hades sent me to give you this letter. I assure you that no one has read its contents," spoke the man. "I know you haven't," I said as I opened the envelopes. "They are encrypted," I spoke as I showed the pages, with various symbols. After reading the contents of the letter, I walked over to the lit fireplace, dodging the drunks lying on the floor, and threw the letter into the fire. "Thank you for your services, sir," I spoke. "Peter," spoke the man. "Right, I will talk about your help with Hades, Peter, expect good news," I spoke, heading for the exit. "Thank you, Lord Woden," spoke Peter, bowing his head. After leaving the pigsty, I went to the tavern where we were. Making my way to the table that everyone was gathered around, eating meat, soup, and some drink, I sat down in an empty chair, and noticed the absence of Perseus. "Where is Perseus?" I asked. "He went out to see a fight between knights," spoke Astrid. "Okay, we'll leave tomorrow," I spoke. "Where to?" Rosalind asked. "King's Landing," I said. "To do what in that shitty place?" "Literally shit. Everyone says the city stinks of shit and piss." Sigurd spoke. "I have some unfinished business there, and Eldrick will be waiting for us." I spoke. "Eldrick, I miss that bastard," spoke Kevin. "Astrid and Kevin, go after Perseus and let him know we are leaving tomorrow. Rosalind and Sigurd, go to the harbor and try to get a ship that is going to King's Landing." I spoke. "Right," spoke everyone, as they got up from the table. "What about you, Arth? Where are you going?" Rosalind asked. "To Wolf's Den," I spoke, leaving some coins on the table. Leaving the tavern, I headed toward the location of Wolf's Den. After a while of walking, it was dark, and I soon spotted the den. The place was lit by torches and candles. The den, in fact, was a castle, with ruined black walls towering over the houses that clung to them. Wolf's Den was created by the King of the North, Jon Stark, who raised Wolf's Den to defend the mouth of the White Knife from invaders from the sea. It was the seat of the King of the North's younger sons. Brothers, uncles and cousins, some passed the castle on to their children and grandchildren. And branches of House Stark cadets arose, among them the Grey Starks lasted the longest, holding Wolf's Den for 5 centuries, until they joined the Dreadfort in rebellion against the Starks of Winterfell. 1,000 years before the War of Conquest, the Manderleys were given the Wolf's Den by the Starks. They swore oaths before the old gods and the new to be the Stark men forever in exchange for protection from their enemies, and they gained the land that became the present-day city of White Harbor. Using the cover of night, I headed for the place where the sacred grove is located. Arriving in the grove, I spotted the tree, a weirwood so large and seafaring that it had choked all the oaks, elms and birches and sent its thick, pale branches crashing against the walls and windows facing it, its roots as thick as a man's waist, its trunk so wide that the face carved into it looked fat and angry. Reaching out to the tree, observing its angry appearance, I put my palm against its trunk, and as I did, my eyes went white, and my mind went blank. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in a kind of battlefield. On one side were figures that I could not see what it was, but on the other side I could see a man. The man was tall and muscular. He was around 6 feet 4 inches tall. His hair began in black, but ended in silver. They were long, but were braided. His side was shaved, with tattoos drawn on his sides. On top of his head was a crown, made of Valyrian steel and with 9 points in the shape of long swords. The man wore black ice armor. On his chest, shoulders and arms was a red dragon. On his back was a long black cape, with the design of a tree on its surface. In his hand were 2 swords, one black with ripples, and the other also had a black blade, but some designs on its blade glowed red. On his right side was a huge wolf, the same size as the man. The wolf was white, and its eyes were red. And on its left side a shadow cat, with its head at the height of the man's chest. Behind the man were 9 people, each one more distinct from the other, and behind them, thousands of people, all organized in formations, with spears and shields in their hands. The man then climbs on top of the wolf, and raises his sword with symbols glowing in red. "Legions!" shouted the man with a loud and powerful voice. The sound was like the sounding of the trumpets of the apocalypse, but in the same way that it intimidated, it was motivating. Just hearing it made me want to fight with him in this battle. "Ow!" shouted the thousands of people behind the man. The sound was deafening, even the ground shook with the noise. It was loud, like standing next to thunder. "Attack!" But before I can finish seeing, my consciousness returns to my body. I do not love the bright sword for its sharpness, nor the arrow for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend. Faramir. zLucasH creators' thoughts.